The early years, a journey of quiet determination. Stephen William Hawking was born on January 8, 1942, in Oxford, England, into a family of intellectuals. His father, Frank, was a well-educated medical researcher, and his mother, Isabel, had a degree in economics. From the very beginning, it was clear that education was valued in his household, and the expectation to excel academically was high. Yet, from a young age, Stephen didn't quite fit the mold that everyone might have anticipated. In fact, he was considered by many to be an average student, far from the prodigy people might have expected from someone born into a family of educated professionals. As a child, Stephen's academic struggles were apparent. He didn't read properly until he was 8, an age when many of his peers had already mastered the skill. While his classmates quickly caught up, Stephen was often left behind, doubting his own abilities. His teachers saw this as a flaw, and it became part of the narrative that followed him throughout his early school years. He was, by no means, considered to be an exceptional student. In fact, many dismissed him as lazy or uninterested in academics. But as time passed, a different story began to emerge, one that would ultimately shape the world. Despite his academic challenges, there was always something about Stephen that stood out. Teachers, though often disappointed by his lack of conventional focus, recognized an unshakable curiosity that burned inside him. Stephen was less concerned with memorizing facts from textbooks and more drawn to the mysteries of the world outside the classroom. His mind wandered in a different direction. He had a love for tinkering, for solving problems, and for discovering how things worked. He wasn't interested in the ordinary assignments or rote learning of his school days. Instead, Stephen would spend his time crafting small inventions, finding joy in figuring out how objects fit together and functioned. He was an inventor at heart, even if the school curriculum didn't always allow him to fully explore that side of himself. It wasn't laziness. It was the pursuit of something deeper. He wasn't uninspired. He just hadn't yet found his true calling. The nickname Einstein was one of the first signs that others began to see a glimmer of brilliance in him, even if Stephen himself didn't fully recognize it. He was a quiet thinker, and he might not have been the most expressive in the traditional sense, but the potential within him was unmistakable. Yet even with this recognition, Stephen struggled to fully connect with the structure of school. He felt as though something was missing, something that couldn't be captured in classrooms or textbooks. It wasn't until later, when he would leave home for university, that Stephen would encounter the challenges and pivotal moments that would eventually lead to his extraordinary career. The journey from being that unremarkable student to a world-renowned physicist was far from straightforward. It was one paved with struggle, confusion, and most importantly, a relentless drive to prove himself, even when the odds seemed impossibly high. Oxford, and the lazy student who would change the world. At 17, Stephen Hawking was accepted into Oxford University, an opportunity that would change the course of his life forever. He went there with a dream, to study physics and mathematics, and though it was a prestigious university, Stephen's time there was far from the disciplined, rigorous pursuit of knowledge one might expect from such an institution. In fact, his first year was, by his own admission, one of laziness. He struggled with motivation and, much to his dismay, found much of the coursework boring and unengaging. While his peers in Oxford were immersed in their studies, Stephen often found himself disenchanted with the traditional educational system. He would work, on average, only an hour a day. He was honest about his lack of effort during this period, even acknowledging that many of his fellow students shared his boredom. The typical student behavior was that of either compliance or avoidance, and for Stephen, it was avoidance. He didn't feel the need to conform, and so he became known for his lack of effort. But what Stephen didn't yet realize was that the indifference he felt was simply the gap between conventional learning and his own unorthodox way of thinking. He wasn't lazy, but instead, he was searching for something that mattered more than anything else, a deeper meaning in his studies, something that aligned with his passions. Stephen's approach to learning was unconventional. but it was also profound. Where others saw the pursuit of knowledge as a linear process, Stephen was beginning to see the vastness of the unknown, and his mind was captivated by the complexities of the universe. However, these realizations didn't come easily or quickly. His early years in Oxford were marked by a sense of detachment from traditional learning. Yet his brilliance continued to surface, albeit in a more subdued, contemplative form. At the same time, a sense of urgency and determination had yet to fully crystallize. Stephen's life was in the process of changing in ways he could never have anticipated. Though he felt detached from his university environment, the seeds of greatness were being quietly sown, waiting to sprout when the time was right. What appeared to be indifference was simply Stephen's mind wrestling with its own potential. It was only after leaving Oxford and moving to Cambridge to pursue further studies in cosmology that Stephen would encounter a challenge that would force him to focus, to reconsider his life, and to ultimately tap into the boundless well of determination that would define his legacy. The diagnosis that changed everything. At the age of 21, just as Stephen was embarking on his academic career in Cambridge, something unthinkable happened. He began to notice strange physical symptoms. His speech started to slur, and his body became increasingly uncoordinated. He often tripped, and his clumsiness became more pronounced. At first, Stephen ignored these symptoms, chalking them up to simple fatigue or perhaps stress. But as the symptoms worsened, Stephen could no longer dismiss them. He sought medical attention, and after a series of tests, the devastating diagnosis was revealed. He had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It was a progressive, degenerative disease that affects the motor neurons, the cells in the brain and spinal cord that control muscle movement. The doctors gave him just 2 years to live. This prognosis was nothing short of life-shattering. At the age of 21, with the diagnosis hanging over him, Stephen Hawking was forced to confront his own mortality. Yet it was precisely in this moment of devastation that Stephen experienced a transformation that would define his life. Faced with the possibility of an early death, something inside him clicked. The realization that time was precious ignited a spark of determination that would guide him for the rest of his life. Stephen refused to surrender to despair. Instead, he made a conscious choice to live, to fight, and to make every moment count. He immersed himself in his work with a newfound fervor, dedicating himself to understanding the universe in ways few others could even begin to imagine. His illness, while devastating, gave him a clarity of purpose he had never known before. Stephen would not allow his body to define him. Instead, he would allow his mind, his spirit, and his passion to shape his legacy. In this period of his life, Stephen met Jane Wilde, who would become his wife. Together, they embraced the challenges of his illness, and despite the odds, Stephen's determination to live and make a difference grew even stronger. As his body weakened, his mind grew sharper, and his contributions to the field of cosmology would change the course of science forever. Cambridge and the spark of a new beginning. Stephen Hawking's world was forever altered when he moved to Cambridge to continue his studies in cosmology, just as his body began betraying him. At 21, he was faced not only with the harsh diagnosis of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, but also with the daunting reality that his life would not follow the conventional path he had once imagined. It was as though the universe itself had thrown him a cosmic curveball, one that left him grappling with both physical decline and the enormous weight of the future. But in the face of such a bleak prognosis, something extraordinary happened. The devastating diagnosis, rather than crushing his spirit, became the catalyst for a profound transformation in Stephen's life. Instead of surrendering to despair, Stephen made an extraordinary decision. He would not allow his illness to define him. He would not allow the limitations of his body to limit the power of his mind. In fact, he would do everything in his power to push the boundaries of human understanding, even if it meant doing so from a wheelchair. The path ahead would not be easy. With his diagnosis came the realization that he could not afford to waste time. He had to make every moment count. It wasn't just the disease that was trying to steal his future. It was the relentless ticking of time itself. Stephen's sense of urgency was born out of this awareness, and from that moment on, he would dedicate every ounce of his energy to the pursuit of knowledge. In those early days at Cambridge, Stephen began to focus all of his intellectual energies on cosmology, the study of the origin, evolution, and eventual fate of the universe. It was a field that intrigued him deeply, and the more he delved into it, the more he became fascinated by the fundamental questions that had puzzled humanity for centuries. How did the universe begin? What was the nature of time? Was there a unifying theory that could explain everything, from the smallest particles to the vastness of the cosmos? But despite his growing interest and determination, Stephen still faced an enormous challenge. ALS is a progressive disease that slowly robs its victims of their ability to move, speak, and even breathe without assistance. For Stephen, the disease meant that as his body deteriorated, his ability to interact with the world in traditional ways would become more and more limited, and yet he did not let this stop him. Stephen's work ethic became more intense, more focused than ever before. He had a laser-sharp drive to understand the mysteries of the universe. His mind, undeterred by the encroaching paralysis, continued to explore the deepest questions of existence. As his body grew weaker, his thoughts became stronger, as if the limitations of the physical world were only a temporary obstacle to the vastness of his intellectual capacity. The more Stephen worked, the more he began to make connections between the abstract theories that had puzzled scientists for generations. His work on black holes, in particular, began to challenge long-held beliefs about the nature of the universe. He theorized that black holes, regions of space where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape, might not be the dark, empty voids that everyone had assumed them to be. Instead, he proposed that black holes might emit radiation, a revolutionary idea that would come to be known as Hawking radiation. This discovery would not only change the field of cosmology forever, but would also set Stephen apart as one of the most brilliant minds in scientific history. But the discovery of Hawking radiation was just one part of a much larger intellectual journey that Stephen was on. His work was far-reaching, connecting ideas across the fields of quantum mechanics, general relativity, and the very nature of time itself. Despite his growing fame within the scientific community, Stephen's life outside of academia was filled with personal challenges. His body continued to weaken, and he relied increasingly on a wheelchair and a computer system to communicate. But in his mind, the limitations of his body were nothing more than a small hurdle, one that could be overcome with determination and willpower. It was during this period that Stephen met Jane Wilde, a fellow student at Cambridge, who would become his wife and the mother of his children. Jane was captivated by Stephen's brilliance, his passion, and his unwavering optimism. Together, they faced the difficulties of his illness head-on, supporting each other as Stephen's body continued its decline. It was through this relationship that Stephen found a new sense of purpose, both as a scientist and as a human being. In his personal life, Stephen was more than just a scientist. He was a father, a husband, and a man who faced the reality of his own mortality. Yet even as his body weakened, his determination to continue his work never wavered. He became a symbol of resilience, not just to the scientific community, but to the world at large. Stephen's growing family provided him with a source of strength that many might not have expected. The birth of his children gave him an additional reason to live and to fight against the disease that was slowly stealing his physical abilities. His family became his support system, helping him to maintain a sense of normalcy in a world that seemed increasingly beyond his control. But it was his work that truly kept him going. He was determined to unlock the secrets of the universe and to make a lasting contribution to the world of science. As his health deteriorated, he turned to technology to help him continue his research. A computer system that allowed him to communicate through a speech-generating device became his lifeline to the outside world. With a single cheek muscle, Stephen could control the cursor on a screen and select letters, forming words and sentences. It was a painstaking process, but it allowed him to continue working, writing, and communicating with colleagues. Stephen's ability to continue his work, despite the limitations of his body, was nothing short of miraculous. His contributions to the field of theoretical physics continued to shape the way we understand the universe. His most famous book, A Brief History of Time, became an international bestseller, bringing complex scientific concepts to a wider audience than ever before. The book, written in a way that made complex ideas accessible to the general public, would go on to sell over 25 million copies worldwide, cementing Stephen's place in history as one of the greatest minds of his generation. But beyond the books and the accolades, Stephen's story became a powerful symbol of human resilience. Despite his diagnosis, despite the odds stacked against him, Stephen Hawking had chosen to live, to work, and to contribute to humanity's understanding of the cosmos. His message was clear: life, no matter how difficult, was worth living. Time, though fleeting, could still be used to achieve great things. And no matter what challenges we face, there is always a way to move forward. In his later years, Stephen continued to defy the predictions of his doctors, living for over 50 years after his initial diagnosis. He became a global icon, not just for his scientific work, but for his determination to overcome adversity. Stephen's life was a testament to the power of the human spirit, showing that no matter how great the challenges we face, there is always hope, and there is always the possibility of greatness. Stephen's story is one of transformation, of a young man who started out as an average student, but through adversity, hardship, and a burning passion for knowledge, became one of the most influential scientists of all time. His work continues to inspire people around the world, and his legacy will live on for generations to come. A legacy of wonder, transforming science and humanity. Stephen Hawking's journey from an unremarkable student to one of the most revered scientific minds in history was not just an evolution of intellect, it was a triumph of the human spirit. After overcoming the overwhelming challenge of his ALS diagnosis, which left his body gradually paralyzed, Stephen's brilliant mind continued to shine brightly, illuminating not only the mysteries of the universe, but also the indomitable strength of the human will. His life's work would go on to reshape our understanding of space, time, and existence itself, leaving a legacy that would forever change the course of science. By the time Stephen was in his early 30s, he had already made groundbreaking contributions to theoretical physics. His work in cosmology, particularly regarding black holes and the nature of the universe, was beginning to garner the attention of the scientific community. But it was his exploration of black holes that would mark the beginning of a series of revolutionary discoveries that would change the very fabric of science. Black holes, as Stephen proposed, were not the empty, lifeless voids that everyone once thought they were. Rather, they could emit a faint form of radiation, a phenomenon now known as Hawking radiation. This radical idea upended previous notions about the nature of these cosmic objects and their relationship with the laws of physics. In essence, Stephen Hawking's theory suggested that black holes could eventually shrink and disappear, completely altering our understanding of their role in the universe. Hawking's work with black holes didn't stop there. He also made significant contributions to the development of a unified theory of quantum gravity, a concept that attempts to explain the forces that govern the universe at the most fundamental level. The idea of a unified theory, often called the theory of everything, has captivated scientists for decades, and Stephen Hawking's work brought us one step closer to understanding the intricate connections between the smallest particles and the vast expanses of the cosmos. However, Stephen's contributions were not limited to these groundbreaking discoveries alone. Throughout his career, he worked tirelessly to answer the most profound questions humanity has ever asked. What is the origin of the universe? How did it begin? What is the true nature of time? What lies beyond the boundaries of our understanding? In one of his most famous books, A Brief History of Time, Stephen attempted to explain these complex ideas in a way that was accessible to the general public. His goal was to make the intricate concepts of cosmology and theoretical physics understandable, even for those with no formal scientific background. The book was a tremendous success, becoming a bestseller and introducing millions of readers to the wonders of the universe. More importantly, it inspired countless individuals to pursue careers in science and mathematics, showing that the pursuit of knowledge is not just for the elite few, but for everyone. Despite the acclaim and success of his work, Stephen's life was never about fame or fortune. It was always about a deeper purpose, the quest to understand the universe and to live a life of meaning. His life's work was driven by a sense of curiosity and wonder that knew no boundaries. Even when faced with unimaginable physical limitations, Stephen remained steadfast in his pursuit of answers. His resilience in the face of ALS became a model for those facing their own battles, showing that the human mind can triumph over the body's limitations. But perhaps the most profound aspect of Stephen's legacy is the message he imparted to the world. It was a message of hope, determination, and the unwavering belief that there is always more to discover, no matter how difficult the journey may be. For Stephen, the pursuit of knowledge was not just a career. It was a way of life. In the face of his illness, he could have chosen to retreat from the world, to accept his fate, and give up. But instead, he chose to fight. He chose to embrace life fully, to continue contributing to humanity's understanding of the universe, and to inspire others to do the same. Stephen's story serves as a powerful reminder that the mind is not bound by the limitations of the body. While our physical selves may fade, the impact of our thoughts, ideas, and discoveries can endure for centuries. Stephen Hawking lived with a sense of urgency, knowing that time was precious and that every day was an opportunity to contribute to the greater good. His work on the nature of black holes, time, and the origin of the universe has left an indelible mark on the field of cosmology, and his ideas will continue to shape the future of science for generations to come. In his later years, Stephen continued to defy the expectations of his doctors, surviving far beyond the 2 years they had initially predicted. He lived for more than 5 decades after his diagnosis, a testament to his resilience, determination, and refusal to give up. Despite his physical decline, Stephen remained active in the scientific community, delivering lectures, writing books, and advocating for the importance of scientific research and exploration. He became an icon not just for his groundbreaking contributions to science, but for his enduring optimism and belief in the power of the human spirit. Stephen's work was not only an exploration of the universe, but also a call to action. He inspired countless individuals to question, to explore, and to pursue their own understanding of the world. He taught us that the pursuit of knowledge is not just for the scientifically gifted, but for all who are curious and open-minded. In a world often clouded by uncertainty and hardship, Stephen showed us that there is always something worth fighting for. His life was a testament to the transformative power of curiosity, determination, and the belief that we all have the ability to make a difference. As a husband, a father, and a grandfather, Stephen's life was also rich with personal meaning. Though his body may have been confined to a wheelchair and his speech limited by a computer-generated voice, Stephen's relationships with his loved ones remained strong. He was a devoted husband to Jane Wilde, who stood by him throughout his struggles with ALS, and later to his second wife, Elaine Mason. He was a proud father to 3 children, who became his source of strength and joy. Stephen found in them the same sense of wonder and curiosity that had driven his own journey. In his final years, Stephen's thoughts turned to the future of humanity and the importance of preserving our planet. He was deeply concerned about the direction the world was heading and the challenges humanity would face in the coming years. He advocated for space exploration, believing that our survival as a species depended on our ability to venture beyond Earth and explore the cosmos. He also urged us to protect our planet, warning of the dangers of climate change and the need for collective action to ensure a sustainable future. Stephen's death on March 14, 2018, at the age of 76 marked the end of an era, but his legacy continues to inspire millions of people around the world. His work, his life, and his message will live on long after his passing. Stephen Hawking's story is not just the story of a brilliant physicist. It is the story of a man who, despite overwhelming challenges, refused to give up on his dreams, his passion, and his belief in the power of human potential. In the words of Stephen himself, remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Never give up work. Work gives you meaning and purpose, and life is empty without it. These words encapsulate the essence of his life, a life driven by curiosity, passion, and a relentless desire to understand the universe and our place within it. Stephen Hawking showed us that, no matter how difficult life may seem, there is always something worth striving for, always something worth discovering. His life was a testament to the power of resilience, determination, and the belief that we are capable of achieving greatness, no matter the obstacles in our path. Stephen Hawking's legacy is a reminder that the human spirit is limitless, and that as long as there is life, there is hope. Beyond the stars, a legacy of inspiration and hope. Stephen Hawking's life was not just about the incredible scientific achievements he left behind. It was about the story of a man who, against all odds, turned the most difficult of circumstances into a beacon of hope for humanity. His contributions to science, particularly his work on black holes and the origins of the universe, reshaped our understanding of the cosmos. But perhaps his greatest legacy is not found in equations and theories alone. It's in the way he lived his life, the way he faced profound adversity with unwavering resilience, and the way he inspired others to do the same. At the heart of Stephen's remarkable journey was an insatiable curiosity about the universe. Even as a young man, before he had any formal scientific training, Stephen was drawn to the mysteries of the world around him. As a child, he wasn't an academic standout, nor was he someone who excelled in traditional schooling. But from the very beginning, he demonstrated an inquisitive mind, a mind that would one day unravel some of the deepest mysteries of the universe. The seeds of curiosity were planted early in his life, and as Stephen grew older, they blossomed into a lifelong pursuit of knowledge that would captivate the world. The diagnosis of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, in his early 20s seemed like a cruel twist of fate. A brilliant young mind, now facing the slow and inevitable decline of his physical abilities, was left with a sobering prognosis. Yet, instead of succumbing to despair, Stephen chose to confront his illness head-on, using it as fuel for his desire to accomplish more, to contribute more, and to defy expectations. In the face of immense physical limitations, Stephen's mind soared. His body may have become paralyzed, but his spirit remained unbroken. This fierce determination to live and work, despite his ALS diagnosis, is what truly set Stephen apart. While the majority of people facing a similar diagnosis might have retreated from the world or given in to their limitations, Stephen embraced the opportunity to push further into the unknown. Rather than allowing his disease to take away his passion for life, he used it as a motivation to achieve things that seemed beyond the realm of possibility. At Cambridge, where he began his journey into the world of cosmology, Stephen had the chance to truly dive into the mysteries of the universe. While many of his peers were caught up in the rigorous demands of academia, Stephen approached his studies with an awe and wonder that transcended mere intellectual curiosity. He was not just interested in understanding how things worked, he wanted to understand why. Why does the universe exist? How did it begin? What happens to the laws of physics when we look beyond the black holes into the far reaches of the cosmos? It was during his time at Cambridge that Stephen proposed his revolutionary theories about black holes, which would go on to redefine the way we think about space and time. Through his groundbreaking work, he demonstrated that black holes were not the empty voids that scientists once thought they were, but instead, they emitted radiation, a concept that is now referred to as Hawking radiation. This discovery completely transformed our understanding of the most mysterious objects in the universe, opening up a new chapter in the study of cosmology. Yet even as his work was advancing, Stephen's personal life was not without its struggles. The progression of his ALS was relentless, and as the years went on, it became harder for him to maintain his independence. He lost the ability to speak, to walk, and eventually, to move without the assistance of others. His dependence on a wheelchair and a speech-generating device to communicate was a stark contrast to the dynamic intellectual powerhouse that he had become in the scientific community. But what truly stands out about Stephen's life is not the challenges he faced, but the way in which he met those challenges. Instead of retreating from the world or becoming bitter about his situation, Stephen chose to embrace life with open arms. He continued to work, to lecture, to write, and to inspire. His passion for science never wavered, and his love for exploring the mysteries of the universe remained as fierce as ever. In fact, some of Stephen's most significant achievements came later in his life, after he had already been living with ALS for decades. Despite the ongoing deterioration of his body, Stephen's mind was sharper than ever. He wrote A Brief History of Time, one of the most famous books in modern scientific literature, which brought complex ideas about the universe to the general public. The book made Stephen a household name and introduced millions to the fascinating world of cosmology. It was a work of profound insight, written in a way that allowed readers without a scientific background to grasp the fundamental concepts of the universe's origin, the nature of black holes, and the mysteries of time. Stephen's fame, however, was never his ultimate goal. His true aim was always to make sense of the universe, to answer the questions that had baffled humanity for centuries. And in this pursuit, he succeeded beyond measure. His work on the nature of black holes, quantum mechanics, and the concept of time itself redefined what we know about the universe. His contributions laid the foundation for future discoveries in theoretical physics and cosmology, and his theories continue to influence the scientific community to this day. But Stephen's legacy goes far beyond his work in science. As much as he was admired for his intellect, he was equally celebrated for his resilience, his sense of humor, and his refusal to give up. In a world where the challenges of life can sometimes seem insurmountable, Stephen became a symbol of hope, showing that even the most difficult circumstances can be overcome with determination and a positive outlook. One of the most poignant aspects of Stephen's life was his ability to maintain a sense of wonder and optimism, despite the challenges he faced. He once said, "It is not that I am so clever, but I stay with problems longer." This statement captures the essence of Stephen's approach to life. He didn't give up when things got tough. Instead, he dug deeper, he persisted, and he pushed forward. His brilliance was not just in his scientific theories, but in his ability to persevere, to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles stood in his way. Stephen's life also serves as a reminder of the importance of love and relationships. While his physical body became increasingly frail, his love for his family and his relationships with his colleagues remained steadfast. He was deeply connected to his children, his friends, and his colleagues, and these relationships provided him with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Love, in its many forms, was a source of strength for Stephen throughout his life. His marriage to Jane Wilde, whom he met while at Cambridge, was one of the defining relationships of his life. Together, they faced the challenges of his illness, and Jane played a pivotal role in supporting Stephen during the most difficult moments of his life. Later, Stephen married Elaine Mason, and though their relationship faced its own struggles, it highlighted the complexity and richness of his personal life. Through all the changes in his health, his relationships remained a core part of his existence, grounding him and reminding him of the importance of human connection. As Stephen's health deteriorated over the years, he became more involved in advocating for issues beyond science, becoming a vocal proponent for space exploration, environmental causes, and the protection of human rights. He recognized the fragility of life, and his desire to make the most of his time on Earth extended beyond his scientific endeavors. He believed that space exploration offered humanity a chance at survival in the future, and that we must look to the stars to ensure the survival of our species. Stephen's death in 2018 marked the end of an era, but his impact continues to resonate with people around the world. His story has inspired countless individuals to pursue their dreams, to push past their limits, and to never give up, no matter what obstacles stand in their way. His work, his legacy, and his spirit will continue to inspire future generations of scientists, thinkers, and dreamers. In the final years of his life, Stephen looked toward the future with optimism and hope. He encouraged us all to continue asking questions, to explore the unknown, and to never stop learning. His message was simple but profound. Be curious, and however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. Stephen Hawking's life was a testament to the incredible power of human potential and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Today, we remember Stephen not just as a brilliant physicist, but as a symbol of perseverance, curiosity, and the belief that no matter how difficult life may seem, we can always overcome adversity and reach for the stars. His legacy lives on in every person who dares to dream, who refuses to give up, and who seeks to understand the mysteries of the universe. His life reminds us that, even in the darkest moments, there is always light to be found, if we're willing to look for it. A lesson for us all, embracing the infinite potential of the human spirit. Stephen Hawking's life is a profound testament to the extraordinary capacity of the human spirit to overcome adversity. From the young man who struggled with traditional schooling to the world-renowned physicist who reshaped our understanding of the universe, Stephen's journey was anything but easy. But what set him apart was his unyielding determination, his refusal to let his physical limitations define his life, and his unrelenting pursuit of knowledge. At the heart of Stephen's story is the lesson that no obstacle is insurmountable when we choose to face it with resilience, passion, and a deep sense of purpose. He could have given up when his ALS diagnosis threatened to rob him of everything, but instead, he embraced life in its fullest form, finding new ways to push the boundaries of human understanding. His story is a powerful reminder that our greatest challenges can become the driving force for our greatest achievements. Stephen Hawking's life teaches us that it's not about how much time we have, but how we choose to spend it. Life is fleeting, and none of us know what challenges or setbacks lie ahead. But what we can control is how we approach those challenges, whether we let them break us or fuel us to rise higher. Stephen didn't let his disease define him. Instead, he defined himself by the work he chose to do, by the passion he invested in every day, and by the hope he offered to others. In the face of an incurable illness, Stephen found not just a reason to keep going, but a calling that would change the world. He used his brilliant mind to explore the deepest questions about the universe, and in doing so, he showed us that our minds are capable of limitless feats, regardless of our circumstances. His life was a beautiful example of how curiosity, determination, and a willingness to ask why can lead to breakthroughs that impact the entire world. But beyond his intellectual accomplishments, it was Stephen's human spirit that left the most lasting mark. He showed us that true greatness is not measured by the accolades or the achievements, but by the way we choose to live, to love, and to continue moving forward despite all odds. He reminded us that there is always something worth striving for, whether it's a scientific discovery, a personal goal, or simply the courage to live each day with hope. As we reflect on Stephen Hawking's incredible journey, let us remember his wisdom. Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Never give up. Work gives you meaning and purpose, and life is empty without it. These words are a beacon for all of us. No matter where we are in life or what obstacles we face, the potential to achieve great things lies within each of us. Like Stephen, we must look up at the stars, embrace the unknown, and never stop seeking the answers to the questions that drive us. Stephen Hawking's legacy will continue to inspire generations, not just through his scientific work, but through the example he set of living with purpose, resilience, and a deep, unquenchable curiosity about the world around us. He taught us that while life may be full of challenges, there is always hope, and there is always a way forward. If Stephen Hawking could look up at the stars from his wheelchair, then there is no limit to what we can achieve, no matter the circumstances we face. So let us take his example to heart. Let us choose to live with curiosity, with determination, and with the belief that no matter how difficult life may seem, we can always rise above it. In doing so, we honor not just Stephen's memory, but the infinite potential of the human spirit. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.